WWE Monday Night Raw results for July 24, 2023. The usual WWE Then Now Forever Together opening signature narrated by John Cena airs to get this week's show officially off and running, as the road to WWE SummerSlam 2023 continues tonight. The Judgment Day kickoff Raw. From there, we should live inside Amalie Arena in Tampa, Florida, where the lights in the arena are out. The ring announcer then introduces the Judgment Day and the crowd boos. The lights come up to the dark purple usually see with the Judgment Day. We see Finn Balor, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley. Priest says all rise for the Judgment Day. Ripley says they're on Monday Night Raw and all of the WWE. Finn Balor says they have the unbeaten Women's World Champion, send your money in the bank, yours truly, the new World Heavyweight Champion. He says before we get to the man of the moment, let's see what he accomplished last week. Video highlights are shown of his NXT North American Championship victory over Wesley. After the video wraps up, Ripley has the mic and says it is now her honor to introduce the new NXT North American Champion, the hardest man she knows, her Latino heat, Dirty Dominik Mysterio. Out he comes to a new entrance theme and video with his title in hand. The crowd craps all over him, loudly, as you'd expect. Dirty Dom joins the gang in the ring as the boos grow louder. He tries talking and they boo louder. He then introduces another video package, which shows highlights of his rise as part of the Judgment Day. It wraps up and the fans loudly chant "You suck. You suck." At Dirty Dom. He boasts being the new NXT North American Champion, but the fans keep booing. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn confront the Judgment Day. Now the theme for Kevin Owens plays and out comes the prize fighter to a sustained roar from the Tampa crowd. By Owens' side is the other half of the undisputed WWE Tag Team Champions, Sami Zayn. The music cuts off and the cheers grow louder. Fans chant KO. KO. Owens asks if he's crazy because he thinks all of this happened already last week. He mocks Dom having a mullet, and then talks about how the Judgment Day didn't learn a lesson last week. He increasingly loses his anger as he continues ranting at them. Dom yells that he will not be disrespected now that he's a champion. Sami says he's right, he is being disrespected. He gives him a shot to earn himself some respect, offering a challenge for a one-on-one showdown between himself and Dom. Dirty Dom tells Zayn if he wants some to come get some. Zayn says okay, but reminds him that last week when they had a tag match, they made a whole stink about how the titles were on the line. He says if Dom is a fighting champion like he claims, he'll put his title on the line tonight. Ripley tells Sami that Dom accepts. Becky Lynch vs Zoey Stark. Kevin Patrick and Corey Graves run down the advertised lineup for tonight's show, and then we return inside Amalie Arena Live where the familiar sounds of Becky Lynch's theme hits and out comes the man for our first match of the evening. Becky Lynch goes one-on-one against Zoey Stark, where as she wins, she gets the rematch she wants against Trish Stratus, but as she loses, she must get "Thank You" Trish tattooed on herself. We head to a pre-match commercial break as Lynch settles the ring. When we return from the break, the commentators confirm Zayn Dom for the NXT North American Championship for tonight's main event. Lynch is shown waiting in the ring for the arrival of her opposition. A theme for Zoey Stark hits and out she comes accompanied by WWE Hall of Fame legend Trish Stratus, who is still wearing her face protector. The bell sounds and we're officially off and running with our opening contest of the evening. Lynch charges across the ring and puts the boots to a slumping Stark in the corner, as the fans chant "Becky. Becky." We see Stark roll out to the floor to regroup with Trish before heading back in and being decked right back out to the floor by Lynch, who follows out with a big baseball slide drop kick. As the action continues on the floor, Lynch continues to dominate. Back in the ring, Stark hits a big shot that shifts the offensive momentum in her favor for the first time in the bout. Stark hits a slingshot swirling splash onto Lynch for a closely full attempt. After Lynch kicks out, we head to a mid-match commercial break as the action continues. When we return from the break, we see Lynch in control until she is on the floor, and Trish blasts her with a headbutt while wearing the face protector. Stark hits a super kick and goes for the cover, but Lynch kicks out and ends up connecting with her manhandle slam moments later for the win. With the win, Becky gets the rematch she wants against Trish. Winner: Becky Lynch. Cody Rhodes reacts to Brock Lesnar's latest attack. We see a lengthy video package recapping what went down between Cody Rhodes and Brock Lesnar in front of Cody's mom last week on Raw. The commentators then hype the trilogy bout between the two at WWE SummerSlam. On that note, we see Cody Rhodes walking backstage in a suit and tie. We head to a pre-match commercial break with him coming up next. Bill Williams, the recording artist of Greatness, the theme song for Monday Night Raw, is shown sitting in the front row. The theme for Cody Rhodes then hits and the crowd pops, as the American Nightmare merges to exploding fireworks, while fans sing along with his entrance tune. He settles in the ring and begins as usual by saying, "So, Tampa Bay, what do you want to talk about?" He pardons himself as he turns his back to soak in the full crowd here in the building tonight. The fans chant his name as he does. He goes on to talk about Brock Lesnar beating him up with a chair in front of his own mother. Rhodes talks about all that Brock has achieved and tells fans to check into, he might as well be called Mr. SummerSlam. He says someone who wasn't impressed by Brock was his mother, Michelle Owens. He says she told him Brock made a mistake because he left Cody breathing. He finishes by saying at SummerSlam, he ends this. Ricochet addresses Logan Paul. We see highlights of Ricochet and Logan Paul's recent interaction, and then shoot backstage where Jackie Redmond is with Ricochet. He says Logan comes and goes as he pleases and mentions that what he is going to say to Logan, he'll say to his face later tonight. NXT North American Championship. Dominik Mysterio, C, versus Sami Zayn. Now we head back inside Amalie Arena where the familiar sounds of Sami Zayn's theme hits. Out comes the popular WWE veteran for this championship opportunity here in our next match of the evening. As Zayn settles inside the squared circle, we head to a quick pre-match commercial break. When we return from the break, we see Zayn in the ring ready for action as he gets final pre-match words from Kevin Owens, who is in his corner at ringside. A theme for the reigning and defending champion plays and out comes the NXT North American title holder Dominik Mysterio for this title defense. He makes his way to the ring accompanied by WWE Women's World Champion Rhea Ripley and Senior Money in the Bank Damian Priest. From there, the bell sounds and we're officially off and running with this one, as Zayn and Dirty Dom lock up. Zayn immediately gains the upper hand and begins taking it to the Judgment Day member. He sends him to the floor and then hits a big leaping diving splash on him on the floor. On that note, we head to a mid-match commercial break as the action continues in this title tilt. When we return from the break, we see Zayn putting the boots to Dirty Dom in the corner as the crowd cheers him on. We also see highlights of Rhea Ripley getting in a cheap shot during the break. Damian Priest tries to interfere, but Kevin Owens does as well to even things up. The ref jumps on Owens and ejects him from ringside. The Judgment Day guys are laughing at him for this, and then the ref ejects them as well and the crowd goes wild. Dirty Dom complains as Zayn recovers. Zayn hits a Michinoku driver for a close knee fall. We see Sami come close until Owens comes out beaten up badly. He is distracted by this, which allows Dom to surprise him for the win. After the match, Zayn checks on Owens as we head to another commercial. Winner and still NXT North American Champion, Dominik Mysterio. Kevin Owens being checked on by WWE medical team. When we return from the break, we see Kevin Owens with Sami Zayn in the medics room being checked on. He thinks he has a broken rib. We shoot to the commentators. We set up the weekly video recap package from SmackDown, showing the latest happenings in the Bloodline saga between Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. Apollo Crews steps to the Judgment Day. We shoot backstage and we see Apollo Crews and Akira Tozawa talking when the Judgment Day approaches them. Apollo takes offense to them and speaks up. Rhea Ripley looks at Tozawa and asks if they have a problem. He is petrified and runs off. Apollo steps up to Damian Priest, and Priest vows he'll get his payback before the end of the night. Bronson Reed versus Tommaso Ciampa. The video package wraps up, and then we shoot backstage and see Tommaso Ciampa and Shinsuke Nakamura cross paths. Ciampa tells Nakamura that he's got a match against Bronson Reed, and if he sees Nakamura out there tonight, he'll know they have a problem. Back inside Amalie Arena, the theme for Bronson Reed hits, and the big man makes his way out and heads to the ring for our next bout of the evening. As he does, we head to a pre-match commercial break. When we return from the break, Tommaso Ciampa makes his way to the ring, as we see highlights of what went down between he and Nakamura last week. The bell sounds and we see this one get off with a bang, as Ciampa agitates Reed by throwing his ring jacket at him. He immediately pays for this, as the bigger man starts pummeling Ciampa before launching him out to the floor. Ciampa fights back and puts the boots to Reed in the ring. Reed scoops him up and hits a Dr. Death Steve Williams-style Oklahoma Stampede power slam. Reed takes back over and controls Ciampa with ease from there. Reed hits some big splashes on Ciampa, and it starts to look like it's a given that Reed is about to finish this one off. The action spills out to the floor where Reed ends up running into a vicious knee from Ciampa that levels him. On that note, we head to a mid-match commercial break as the action continues. When we return from the break, we see Reed come closer and closer to finishing Ciampa off until finally Ciampa starts to come to life. He somehow hoists the big man up for a near finisher, but Reed somehow kicks out. Shinsuke Nakamura makes his way out, and the distraction leads to Reed hitting his tsunami for the win. Winner, Bronson Reed. Backstage with Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. We see footage from last week of Rhea Ripley's altercation backstage with Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan, and how this led to the two losing their WWE Women's Tag Team Championships to Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. Back Liv, we see Byron Saxton, who is joined by Liv Morgan. He asks her about Rodriguez's injury. Morgan says she's a big tough girl, and she'll be back soon to handle Rhea. She says for tonight, Rhea is all hers. Morgan points out she's the last person to beat Ripley. Before Saxton can't send it back to Patrick and Graves, up walks the new women's champs. Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green ask how he can worry about interviewing Liv instead of them. Rhea Ripley walks up and they kiss her butt and pretend they were just talking about how everything should be about her. They nervously walk off. Ripley tells Saxton she warned Liv and Raquel to get out of her way. She says she handled Rodriguez last week for ignoring this, and now she's about to handle Morgan. We head to another commercial break. Rhea Ripley injures Liv Morgan's arm. When we return from the break, we see Adam Pearce with Seth freaking Rollins as Pearce shows Rollins the contract that he'll be signing with Finn Balor, their SummerSlam contract signing later tonight. Back live inside the Amalie Arena, the familiar sounds of Liv Morgan's theme plays. The former women's tag champ makes her way out. As Morgan nears the ringside area, she is ambushed and attacked from behind by Ripley. Ripley beats Morgan down and stomps on her arm. Back in the ring, Ripley takes a chair and puts Morgan's arm in it. She tells her she's gonna pay for getting in her business. She stomps on it and Morgan screams and cries. The medics jump on Morgan as she screams and cries as Ripley tells her she warned her. She then pushes the medics off Morgan and smashes her arm with the chair once again. Morgan's screams and cries get louder as Ripley taunts her some more and walks off as the crowd boos. We head to a commercial break on that note. When we return from the break, we see Morgan being checked on by doctors backstage. She cries and says she can't move her. Ricochet, Logan Paul go face to face ahead of SummerSlam. Now we shoot back live inside Amalie Arena where Ricochet's theme hits. Ricochet makes his way to the ring and asks where Logan Paul is at. He says he knows he's here so it's time for him to come out and show his stupid face. Ricochet talks about how Logan doesn't belong here. He goes on to call Logan an arrogant little prick. He talks about dedicating his lives to this, while Logan will never understand what that is like. He extends an official challenge to Logan Paul for a match at SummerSlam. As Ricochet continues to talk, he is drilled from behind out of nowhere with a knockout shot by Logan Paul. Paul looks into the camera and smiles before giving the Michael Jordan three-point shot shoulder shrug. He picks the microphone up and says he accepts Ricochet's challenge for SummerSlam. He pulls his phone out and does a selfie video mocking the crowd until he is blasted with a super kick by Ricochet. He hits a shooting star press, and then poses for a selfie with Logan's phone over his full body to end the segment. Damian Priest vs Apollo Crews. Back inside the arena, Damian Priest's theme hits and out comes Senor Money in the Bank for our next match of the evening. He settles into the ring to a chorus of boos with his Money in the Bank briefcase in hand. On that note, we shift gears and head to a pre-match commercial break. When we return, we see Logan Paul backstage. He is approached by Byron Saxton. He informs him that he'll be on Raw next week in Houston to pop Ricochet's bald head. From there, we go back inside the arena and out comes Apollo Crews for our next match of the evening. He settles in the ring and it's time to get this one-on-one showdown underway. The bell sounds and we're officially off and running with this one. Priest immediately decks Crews and taunts him. Priest continues to dominate for the next minute or two, and then Crews gets in a big shot. That would be Apollo's only shot before Priest takes right back over, and ultimately finishes him off with ease. Winner: Damian Priest. Gunther, Drew McIntyre go face to face. Out comes WWE Intercontinental Champion Gunther, accompanied by Ludwig Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci. He goes face to face with Drew McIntyre when we return. On that note, we shift gears and head to a quick commercial break. When we return, Drew McIntyre's theme hits and out comes the Scottish Warrior looking all business. He settles into the ring and he and Gunther have it back and forth on the microphone, with the IC champ taunting McIntyre over his victory in the triple threat at WrestleMania, and hyping their IC title showdown at SummerSlam in just over a week. Ludwig Kaiser ends up speaking up and telling McIntyre he can't speak to Gunther like that. McIntyre says he actually likes Kaiser. He says he's more entertaining than Gunther, and should be the leader of Imperium. Ludwig Kaiser vs Drew McIntyre. This leads to McIntyre and Kaiser agreeing to a fight. We head to a commercial break before the match gets underway. When we return from the break, we see both guys in the ring and ready to rock and roll. The bell sounds and we're officially off and running with this one-on-one showdown. As McIntyre takes it to Kaiser in the early goings, we hear Corey Graves do a prolonged impression of Ludwig Kaiser. And it was pretty damn good, too. McIntyre sends Kaiser retreating out to the floor. He follows out after him, stopping to glare at Giovanni Vinci and Gunther. Drew looks to send a message to the ring general as he chops Kaiser over and over again in front of Gunther on the floor while staring at him. Graves does his Kaiser impression 2 or 20 more times as this is going on. Back in the ring, Kaiser takes over and sends McIntyre into the ring post. He dropkicks him out to the floor where Gunther and Vinci stand over him as the crowd boos. We head to a mid-match commercial break on that note. When we return from the break, we see Kaiser still in control, but not for long. McIntyre starts hitting big spots, including a huge spot off the top rope, and then a series of suplexes. He hits a Glasgow kiss and then stalks Kaiser. He looks for his Claymore kick, but Kaiser counters for a close-knit foe. Graves does his impression of Kaiser for the 100th time. Something tells me Vinnie Mac is a fan of this. McIntyre recovers and connects with his Claymore kick for the pinfall victory. Winner: Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre puts Gunther through a table. Once the match ends, Gunther hits the ring and attacks the Scottish Warrior as fans boo. Matt Riddle ends up running down to make the save until Gunther powerbombs him. He then lays Drew out on the floor. Fans chant "We want tables." Gunther clears off the announce desk, and then hoists Gunther up for a powerbomb. McIntyre counters and then powerbombs Gunther through the table for a huge pop. SummerSlam contract signing for WWE World Title match. Back inside the arena, the theme for the Judgment Day hits. The fans boo as Finn Balor makes his way out for the scheduled contract signing for his WWE World Heavyweight Championship showdown against Seth freaking Rollins at WWE SummerSlam 2023. As Balor settles inside the squared circle for our main event segment on this week's show, we shift gears and head to a commercial break. When we return from the break, Patrick and Graves confirm Brock Lesnar and Logan Paul for next week's show, and then we return to Balor in the ring for our SummerSlam contract signing main event segment. Balor mentions that Adam Pearce was supposed to be out here to oversee this contract signing, but because of how chaotic things have been tonight, he is tied up. He says he and Rollins are professionals, however, and can handle this as such. With that said, we hear "Burn It Down." And out comes the Visionary and the Revolutionary as the fans do the woes with his theme song. The WWE World Heavyweight Champion settles in the ring, his music cuts off, but the woes continue. Rollins then begins. "All well looky here, Tampa." He says Balor has figured out what we have all known for a long time, which is that Balor has absolutely zero chance of walking out of SummerSlam as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion. As the talk continues, Rollins tries getting Balor to think that Damian Priest will cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase. That second Balor wins, if he's lucky enough to pull off a miracle. Rollins says SummerSlam is going to be the end of the Judgment Day. He sets the mic down, and the fans sing the woes to his theme. Balor signs the contract and then laughs. He tells Rollins he thinks he's got everything all figured out. He says he thinks he runs this place, but he doesn't. He says the Judgment Day runs this place now. As he continues talking, we see Damian Priest making his way to the ring through the crowd. Rhea Ripley comes out from the back, and Dom comes out through a different part of the crowd. Finn talks about how he has been driven insane by Rollins. He says it feels like an itch you just can't scratch. He talks about a 7-year itch and says at SummerSlam, he's gonna make him his 7-year bitch. Rollins sees the Judgment Day guys quartering him in the ring, and he turns the table over, and the brawl begins. Rollins does well until Priest stacks him with his Money in the Bank briefcase. The theme for Sami Zayn hits and the crowd explodes as he runs out with a steel chair in hand. The commentators remind us Kevin Owens was taken out by the Judgment Day earlier tonight. Zayn and his chair isn't enough, as Balor ends up beating him down with help from Priest and Dominik Mysterio and Ripley. Back in the ring, we see all of the Judgment Day members stomping out Rollins. Priest hoists Rollins up high and hits him with his Razor's Edge finisher. Dom hits a frog splash off the top. Balor then finishes him off with the top rope coup de grace. Rollins is left laying as the Judgment Day stands tall to end this week's show. That's how this week's show goes off the air. Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, consider subscribing to our channel to see more of such videos regularly. See you soon.